We have members of the media who did not get this handout. If you look at it, there's a copy of the plan, and that first paragraph that gives you two websites for both the Grassroots America website and Grassroots Texans website has the complete plan on it. I'm going to run through it very quickly, and I'm going to hit the high spots. Before I do that, I want to say this. I want to make sure that everybody here understands that we absolutely support law enforcement. The men and women of law enforcement that are on that border and are leaving their families to go there have our undying support. What we reject is the fact that the United States Border Patrol is at the point where their leadership has to give a statement like this. Vice President of the National Border Patrol Council, Sean Moran, said that the United States Border Patrol agent Vega's death never should have occurred and is just more evidence of the failed U.S. immigration system. In an August 8th interview on Fox News, and again on August 27th in this Capitol at a Texas Public Policy Foundation Border Crisis briefing, Agent Moran said again that under the Bush and the Obama administration, the government has had a catch and release policy, letting illegal immigrants go free after Border Patrol agents risk their lives in many instances to apprehend them. Mr. Moran asked this question: why do we have immigration laws if we aren't going to enforce them? You know, that's a really serious question. I've noticed some levity in the room today by some of our guests. And I'm going to ask you, people who thought that this topic was funny, how would you feel if you didn't have a father or a mother or a child because they had been killed because your government abandoned them? Mr. Moran said, why do we have a border patrol? Why do people like Brian Terry die? Robert Rosa, Luis Aguilar, and now Javier Vega. If we are not going to be serious, why do we need a border patrol? I mean, what do we have to do in this country to actually take this threat seriously and be able to do our job? These are U.S. Border Patrol agents, and they are begging the American people to stand up for them and let them do their job. Mr. Moran went on to say that the circumstances of Agent Vega's murder by illegal immigrants who have been deported multiple times and given meaningless fines and allowed to come back. He said that murder of our friend and fellow agent is unspeakable. And we're here today to stand for the U.S. Border Patrol and for the DPS and for the National Guard and for the game wardens who are down there. And you know why we're here? Because what our state government is doing is not going to solve the problem. That's why. And we can have politicians that get on Fox News and every other media outlet and talk about, by gosh, if the federal government's not going to do the job, we will. Texas is going to secure the border. And after we go down there and we see that border wide open, I have to tell you, I agree with Honey Tees. It's an embarrassment and it is a shame that we are in this room having to point this out to the people who swore an oath to us. You know, we hired them to do a job. The people that work in this building are not some kind of monarchy and some kind of people who through some kind of, quirk of fate and because they deserve it are elected. We hired them to do a job. So let's talk about what they should be doing. First of all, under Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3 of the United States Constitution, the governor can declare a state of imminent danger for the state of Texas. It is in the Constitution. And I know that it is terribly unfashionable and improper and quite old-fashioned, stick in the muds to talk about the Constitution. But you know, that is the fabric, the underpinning that has kept us from spiraling out of control like so many other countries. And my friends, we are losing that. That is why we're here today calling out our Texas officials who talk about so much about how they love the rule of law. We need to see some of that. So the governor can invoke it. Frankly could do it today. I believe personally, and there are constitutional scholars who believe that there's no history here to say the federal government has abandoned its constitutional authority to secure the border. Therefore, the governor has all the ammunition he needs, the legal standing, if he would listen to people who understand the Constitution rather than high-paid attorneys who have political reasons for telling him, along with his consultants, that he needs to play this thing. He has the constitutional authority to invoke that and say that Texas is in a state of imminent danger. And as our friend from the media over there said, we've talked about it for quite a while. I think that we have made a case. Frankly, you would have to be living under a rock and be willing to overlook a mountain of evidence to come to any conclusion other than the fact we have a few issues here in Texas that cause our state to be in a state of danger. If you don't want to admit that, we can't even get to the foundation here. What can the Attorney General do? The Attorney General has the authority, as the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the state. He actually can declare a state of imminent danger himself, or he can seek from a judicial body a declaratory judgment. He can declare it that way. And then what would that be? That means that all the other triggers in the state constitution move into place, where the governor can call up something that is called the Texas military. And I know there are people among us who think that military people are frightened people, but they are there for a reason, and that is to protect us. My friends, this problem is not going to be solved with good intentions and lollipops. I'm going to ask you all the questions I have asked the state reps. When will it be time to do this? When they blow up the Houston Ship Channel? Will that be time to do it? Let's talk about the legislature a few minutes. Here are some of the things. I've been through this thing so many times, I'm telling you, it's like seared into my brain. I believe it's on page 9 here. We talk about legislative action. We don't believe they should wait for a regular session. You know what? The clock is ticking on this thing, and it's costing us plenty. We need an emergency special session. Because during an emergency special session, we can get some things done. We can be focused on this. Because I'm going to tell you, the open borders, the big business open borders crowd, and they know who they are. They swarm these halls, working against the people of Texas.
That's right.
Because they are so happy to get cheap labor and to exploit the people who come here seeking a better life. They are ready to surrender the safety and security and the sovereignty of Texas for their bottom line, and it's a shame on them. And I know they're going to be swarming this Capitol, doing everything they can to try to undermine what we do. I will tell you this, we aren't leaving. Right. Some of us are going to say this until we don't have another breath.
Amen.
Because frankly, it is the right thing to do. We believe during a special session that they should immediately fund DPS, not out of DPS's budget that they're working on now, but some of the money, the rainy day fund and some of the other money that they're holding in accounts to balance the budget on paper. And could we talk a minute about taking money out of the corporate welfare funds up here, Formula One and things like that, and spending it to do something to secure the Texas border? And for anybody that wants to say that this state cannot afford it, I will tell you this, we can't afford not to do this. We believe that that Governor Perry can actually, with the help of the legislature, do that thing to trigger the Texas military and form a Texas border brigade. There are people in our military, in fact, quite a few people that are getting pink slipped by the military right now, which, by the way, we can ill afford. Those people could serve at the discretion of the governor. And by the way, the orders have to be right. Simply sending the National Guard and DPS to go to the border and to participate in the catch and release program of the federal government will not do the job. Let me say again, what the legislature, what the governor, what our state government needs to support is we want to encourage ministry, faith organizations, humanitarian organizations, to go to work in Mexico and Central America and everywhere they can, to go into those villages and to say to those parents, for God's sake, stop selling your children to coyotes and to cartels. Give them to us and we will take them over in the legal paths. We have 29 legal ports of entry in the state of Texas. We need to encourage people who need to come here for refugee status to come over the legal way. And then what do we do with the rest? There needs to be enough force at that border. Enough fences, enough everything you want to call it. Electronic, but boots on the ground that have the charge to say, if you want to come over illegally, if you don't want to come the legal way, then you're going to meet us at the border and we're going to have a problem here. Now that's a harsh saying for some people, but we're not going to solve this problem until we stop the encouraging illegal entry.
Amen.